extend a very warm welcome to each and every one of you for making time to be with us. And I am, of course, very, very honored to have amongst us a Silva Method graduate. And he took the program when he was 14 years old. 14, right? And you know what? He is very much Malaysian bred, but of international standards. Okay? So we must be very proud of the presenter today. And I don't want you to wait too long. So I shall introduce Dr. Clarence Tan. Please help me welcome him. Hey, we can do better
I think you don't need a mic, right?
No. Your voice projection is good enough.
Okay, good. Better than your voice, sorry. Okay, anyway, thank you for coming. So I'm from Klang originally, but I've lived in Australia for over 30 years. I studied in America. And yes, as Lily mentioned to you, I was just telling these guys how I got involved with the Silva, then called the Silva Mind Control, when I was 14 years old in Klang, right? My late uncle brought an ex-Buddhist monk to my house and said I got to attend this course. 14-year-old kid, right? They go to KL for the whole weekend. I'm like, why? And then he says, well, this, and then the ex-Buddhist monk said, it took him 18 years of meditation to reach the level of meditation that this American can do dynamically, because it was passive meditation through the Buddhist methodology. Anyway, it all sounds like really focused to me, but the program itself was amazing for me as a young kid. I was the youngest in the program, which is kind of like my signature, as I'll mention to you later. But basically, I took the Silva Mind Control class, and I basically learned how to visualize, and that helped me a lot. Like I said, a little known fact about me is that I was the first Klang state swimmer. As you know, Klang had no swimming pool those days except in Klang Club or the Klang River, right? So maybe that's why I can swim so fast, but all the wire now have moved around. So anyway, so I studied in the US, and I'll just give a quick background on myself so at least you know that I have some validation on what I talk about. So I studied at the University of Southern California. My undergrad was in electrical engineering, and then I applied to the MBA program, and they rejected me initially because they said you need to work for 2.5 years, right? And I said, there must be a way. They said, no, I'm sorry, there's no way. You will reserve a place for you, but you have to work for 2.5 years and then come back. So I said, there really must be a way. And they said, okay, there's one way, nobody does it. You've got to do a dual master's. You go to an MBA and an MS in industrial and system engineering. So I was only one of 3 graduates that did the program. My MBA was in finance because finance is math. I didn't really need to know about management and stuff like that. But I had to take management classes, which I understand then why you need to take experience, because one of the topic was how to manage your boss, and I had no boss. So what are you talking about, right? Anyway, MBA in finance. I studied my MBA in finance and my MS in robotics, human-computer interaction, early days. And then those days, the late 80s, Wall Street was the key thing, right? Greed was good. So I actually ended up with Citicorp, which was then a real bank before they became an insurance company run by Indians. So I was in Citicorp in Hong Kong, in Wall Street, Hong Kong, and in Malaysia for a number of years. Then I went to Australia and did my PhD. And I was the associate dean at Bond University. Been to the Gold Coast. It's a very beautiful campus, and so I've been there for like 30 over years. Did my PhD in artificial neural networks and finance. And the reason why I did so, like the neural stuff, artificial neural networks very early in those days. I was one of the few experts in the world that basically applied AI, neural networks, into finance. But what inspired me was coming back to Malaysia, the top traders. I was managing the FX desk, but my bosses, the guys who were really good traders, I found that they couldn't explain like why they buy a certain currency or sell a certain currency and then they make a lot of profit, right? Even if they try to explain to me, they can't verbalize it. And I believe there's some kind of pattern recognition. Maybe the phone was getting louder, the screen, the charts are going higher. So I know what they're looking at. They're looking at the prices. And I know their output when they buy and sell, but I don't know the rules. Those days AI was all about rules. if interest rate goes up, bond prices come down, those are fixed rules. But to actually deal with the whole charts and everything is very, it's more an art form. But I believe there's some kind of pattern recognition, and neural networks can do that. You show the input, you know what the output is, and you can deal with that. So I did my PhD in that area, and then I set up a company called Bond Wireless, my first foray into entrepreneurship. We were one of the first companies in the world to be able to allow you to send text messages from your computer and have a virtual number. And I have patents for like secure text messaging, and actually Maxis was using it. So we had a way of encrypting text messages those days that require your password to send from your phone, and you give proof of the other person receiving. So Maxis is supposed to be meant for SMS banking, but Maxis in their infinite wisdom launched it on Valentine's Day, and then they come back to me and say, Clarence, can you change the number to text it back, to some dummy code? So why? You say, oh, because the Dato's wife want to know, whose message is this? So when they're going to send her a dummy code, and it will say the weather in Kuala Lumpur is hot and humid or something like that. So not the right fit. And then I invested in a company called The Forest. I don't know whether you guys play computer games on Steam. So this project actually did really well for me. It's back in 2014. It's a game on Steam that basically about a survival game, plane crash and stuff like that. But it has returned like anywhere from 25% to 300 to 400% per month for the last 10 years. So anyway, that's a bit about myself, but I'd like to basically talk to you guys about exponential technology. Okay, have you guys heard of it, or is this something that's familiar to you guys? Okay, so our brains are kind of programmed to think linearly. Okay, what do I mean? So if I say you take a meter a step, in 30 steps, how far would you have gone?
30.
Fantastic, your math is amazing. All right, very good. Now, if I say you take exponential steps, 1 step a meter, second step 2 meters, keep going 4, 8, right, 16. In 30 steps, how far would you have gone? How far? Take a guess. You'd have gone 1 billion meters, or 26.5 times around the Earth. And that's how fast technology is moving, particularly in AI right now. But AI is not the only one. LED lights were also like that. And this is so important, right? Because LED lights, if you could predict, 20 years ago, the LED lights are going to be so cheap that it's going to put incandescent bulb companies to bankruptcy. You could imagine then, like in 10 years' time, it's going to be so cheap. What can I do with LED light? I can put it on my shirt and put on my backpack, which we're doing now, right? So you need to kind of forecast where the technology is going to take you 10 years from now. And I learned all this when I was actually selected I was the first Malaysian in the program at NASA called Singularity University, and I became the Asia Pacific ambassador for Singularity University, and we sent 2 Malaysians to the program. One of them is Faisal Arif. He's now the head of strategy for Sunway, and the other is Dr. Deza, who's looking for a health tech company. So anyway, the interesting thing about Singularity University was this is way before the SDG goals, right? You went there for 3 months, you learn all the latest technology, you go to visit Google, because NASA Ames Research Park is next to Google. You go to Facebook, you go to Tesla, you meet people that you only see on TED Talks and so on, like Steve Wozniak, the co-founder of Apple, and so on. And then your final 3 to 5 weeks, 3 months program, you got to work on a project that will impact the life of 1 billion people positively. And it was been one of these areas. This was before the SDGs, right? The Sustainable Development Goals, which basically was ratified by the United Nations in 2015, that they wanted to achieve by 2030 all the 17 goals. So all the 193 countries in the world, including North Korea, have agreed to try to achieve these goals. So whatever projects you guys are working, hopefully you are aware of the amount of support worldwide that's been given to these areas. So like I said, I'm an angel investor too. I invested in over 60 companies. I'd like to see what kind of impact you're creating for the world, not just how much money you're going to make. There's only one metric, right? So let me just bring you up to date with what's happening in the world, which I'm sure you guys are already aware. We have about 8.12 billion people in the world today, right?
almost 60% are living in cities, right? We have about more than 5 billion people on the internet today, and then even more with mobile phone connections. So if you're an entrepreneur today, there's no better time to be an entrepreneur, right? You have almost 6 billion people at your at your beck and call who can be a potential customer, investors, or collaborators. So it's a great time to actually be an entrepreneur. So one of the things we measure how fast technology is moving is also, you heard of unicorns, right? $1 billion, and now decacorn, right, which is 10 billion. It took Harley-Davidson 86 years to reach $1 billion, right? IBM took 46 years. This company, Jet.com, took only 4 months. ChatGPT took only 3 months to reach $1 billion. And it's just a handful of people, given technology, exponential technology, can leverage it to actually do something of value. So another way to look at it is like, how long does it take to reach 50 million users? So telephone took 75 years. Okay? Radio took 38 years. Right? Television took 13 years. Pokemon Go took 19 days. Right? So one of the fastest is Chewbacca Mom, right? 50 million views in 24 hours on Facebook. And this is probably dated. In China, it will be even faster than this. Right? And ChatGPT took only 5 days to reach 1 million users. Right? So, what has technology changed? There's a lot of things now, right? So now, last time we had a pet, you can name whatever you want. Today, your pet name, is going to be a security question, so you really should think about it. What name you give your pet, And then this is very true, though, right? When you say something, that's why you can't contact me on Messenger by voice. I turn it off, and I didn't believe this. I thought everybody said like Facebook's listening to you, but I was giving a talk at Sri Lanka back in 2018, I think, and somebody was telling me about this new social impact charity, and then next minute, all my Facebook posting have this charity coming in. So obviously they're listening to you, right? So you've got to be very careful with that, unless you want to listen. Like this is a funny one. I thought you guys see this. Like my wife asked me why I spoke so softly now, so I was afraid my Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook was listening. She laughed, I laughed, Alexa laughed, Siri laughed. So now the problem with exponential curve, this is how exponential curve looks like. The problem with exponential curve is that they are very deceptive. What do I mean? When you take a small number like 0.1 and you double it, what do you get? 0.2. You double that, what do you get? 0.4. Everything is under 1. So you get this illusion, right? Oh, this technology, 3D printing, right? We've been promised 3D printing, you can print anything you want, like a replicator on a Star Trek, a spaceship. But we haven't seen it yet. But it doesn't mean it's not happening, because it hasn't reached 1. When it reached 1, in 30 steps, it's already 1 billion. So this is a very important thing that you got to understand. So people get disappointed, and then they get amazed. AI, I've been in AI for more than 30 years, right? It was very slow, and then suddenly ChatGPT came up, and then every few months you're seeing something amazing happening. So you need to know where is the knee of the curve, and place yourself there so you can actually, do well. So what is AI? This is a cartoon, right? I married him for his intelligence, and now he's artificial as well. So basically, I used to teach AI. So I said it's a software that behaves in some domain like human being. In Latin, facere arte, which means make something. So artificial is man-made intelligence, artificial intelligence. So it's intelligent if it learns. AI transforms data into knowledge. AI is problem solving. It's the ability to adapt to environment and so on with incomplete or incorrect knowledge. And the one I like the best is from the book. It says, study of how to make computer do things that humans do better at the moment. So I wrote a book on artificial neural network applications in finance a long time ago, 20 over years ago.
Hello.
Okay, sit in the corner. No, I'm sorry.
Sit in the corner.
So this was really interesting. So when I wrote this book, it was applying AI to finance, right? Neural networks for trading and for predicting financial distress in banks and credit unions. And I presented it at one of the IBM function, or maybe at Manians Institute, you know, in Malaysia. And this was back in '97, I think, when Anwar was going to jail, and there was like huge riot, you know, in the streets, you know. And I was there giving this talk, and guess what my model is called? Anwar. It was artificial neural network with auto regression. So be careful what models you name, because when I said that, the whole audience all went quiet, right? So oh, the cops are gonna come and get me, right? Anyway, yeah. So the model was actually called Anwar. So anyway, that was a long time ago. And what they're trying to achieve now is what they call artificial general intelligence (AGI). That is basically AI that has common sense, right? Previously, AI was very rigid. It was all rules. So the way I wanted, for example, a medical AI program, like at Stanford University expert system was called mimicking. You got to basically ask you a whole bunch of questions. If this, do this. If that, do that. And a whole bunch of rules. But like I told you when I was doing trading in the bank and so on, you know, you don't have rigid rules. You don't know why the market sometimes goes up or go down. You know, and some of these top traders don't even have these rules. So how do you actually get to it? And that's where you use things like neural networks. Now, those days, neural networks is good at looking at patterns. For example, if you have like a pen or a spoon, if I turn it upside down or turn it sideways, the AI wouldn't notice the spoon. You have to basically define every single angle. Today, you just show a few pictures of a spoon to an AI program, you will know what a spoon is immediately, right? It's using a form of neural network. Just like us, humans. You know, we don't keep studying the spoon all over the way, right? You know, basically you know this is a spoon, even if I turn it upside down, it's still a spoon. But it was not good at doing precise math, right? So I always told my students, right, use the right tool for the right task, right? Don't be a guy that hammer everything is a nail, right? You can't force it to do something. It's like 2 plus 2 using a neural network in those days, you'll never get 4. You get, you know, 3.8, 3.9, 4.2, 4.1. You get rough estimation. And why is that? It's just because, you know, the way the brain works too, right? If a hungry tiger walks into this room right now, is it important for you and me to sit here and analyze, is this a Bengal tiger or a Siberian tiger? Or no, there's a hungry tiger and get the hell out of the room, right? So just to show you where AI has gone, right? So, you know, I was in this area, neural networks, right? Since then, there's got deep learning and now generative AI. It has progressed, you know, exponentially, very, very quickly. So that's why, you know, this is just to show you where AI has gone and has improved so much. So this is the thing that I thought was an interesting quote, right? You know what the biggest problem with pushing all things AI? Wrong direction. I want AI to do my laundry and my dishes so I can do art and writing, not for AI to do my art and writing so I can do my dishes, right? This is true, isn't it? So this is something that we need to work on, right? So, you know, humanoid robots are coming. At the moment, a humanoid robot costs about $200,000 US. So there are a few companies besides Elon Musk Optimus, which is being used in Tesla's factory. Figure, F-I-G-U-R-E, is another one that they are using in BMW factories. Figure 3, I think now. So it costs about $200,000. But the price is going to come down dramatically. Why? No. This is a robot, humanoid robot, right? If it has enough intelligence, it can make itself. So one robot can make 2. 2 can make 4, exponential. So you'll drive the prices down. You know, so $20,000 is what Elon Musk is saying, but he's saying it'll go beyond that. The moment you have a mass adoption of robots. And then, you know, we'll talk about this later on. People say, oh yeah, but the problem is then we all got no jobs. But look at what the robot is doing. He's doing stuff that you don't want to do. For example, in nursing, how many people, is anybody here a nurse? All right, but you know nurses, right? Nobody become a nurse because they love to change bed pan and bed sheets and fill up forms, right? Robots are taking away those drudgery, dirty jobs and leave the nurse more time to do what they actually sign up to do, taking care of the patients, right? So it's actually taking away those dirty, dangerous jobs that nobody wants to do, and giving us a lot of free time. So the economic disruption is the other question, right? Which is why I don't think we have time to delve into it, but we're talking about, Elon Musk talking about the basic income theory too. Everybody gets minimum amount of money because the technology is giving you these dividends of things that are cheaper and cheaper. You notice, right? Your computers, everything is done faster and cheaper. And that's because of this exponential curve. I will leave the slides with Lily or something, somewhere. But basically, right now things change all the time. So there are many different AI tools, right? We won't have time to go through all of them, but different tools, have different AI applications that are good for doing them. So the few major ones are Perplexity that people use for using AI. ChatGPT, obviously, Gemini is from Google, ChatGPT from OpenAI, Claude is from Anthropic, and Copilot is from Microsoft. But Copilot is basically part of OpenAI anyway. So for using different stuff, let's remember one thing though, when you use all these tools to help you write a business plan or something, I know you're paying the $25 a month so you can use it, but you're not paying the $40,000 a month, okay? So everything that you put into OpenAI, for example, is shared with all the OpenAI users. So your business plan may be used by them to train it. So you gotta remember that. So you put all your personal stuff in there, it's not guaranteed. That's why I bought this. Right? This is a Microsoft Surface Pro 11 that has got an AI chip in it. So I don't need the internet to actually connect with it. So it's internal, right? But you got to be careful and be wary about that. So there's another cheat sheet that, all these new jobs are coming, right? Because, how do you use AI tools? It's basically asking it a question. It's called prompt engineering. How do you prompt AI to do the thing you want to do? We don't teach this, right? And at the university, I'm at loggerhead with the university administration because they want to penalize the students for using AI. And it's so stupid, right? You should be helping them use AI instead of catching them. What's the point? It's like, I don't think I've got a slide here, I don't know where it is, I'll show you later. But there are some of the tools that you can see, and I'll show you how useful. I did this in 5 minutes. I uploaded a video.
Clarence Tan,
See, I can convert myself to speaking in English. Well, this is the original video. This was in Italian. This was in Mandarin. I could do this in 5 minutes. It just converts it automatically and sync it. So you can do this too. So you can be used to produce movies and clips now. So this is going to disrupt a lot of things. If you ever dream of being a producer of a movie or director, you can do it now. You don't even need to hire actors, right? So actors are going to be our job too, right? So there's a lot of stuff like that you can do. Sorry? Yeah, AI actor. So I can just take a photo of you and then have you become my main actress, right? And see, in the 60s, what happened? Math teacher were protesting against use of calculators. This is real, right? And now the same thing is happening, right? They're saying, like, don't let the kids use AI, right? And then you're going to be hampered because I'm going to hire somebody who's going to be more productive. This is something that you guys got to understand too, right? Because when the internet came about, everybody was saying librarians are going to be gone. You don't need librarians anymore, right? Go to the internet. You know what happened? The librarians' pay actually went up exponentially because they became more productive. In the old days, you want to find out what the name of the 12 reindeers that Santa had. You had to go to the librarian and he had to go to find an encyclopedia to look it up. Now you can just do it in a few seconds, right? And that's why it's so powerful and make them more productive, right? Similar thing, right? I mean, you teach a kid how to use the AI stuff, they can be so much more productive. Also like spreadsheets, right? Do you know how the word spreadsheet came about? Those who remember like the early days of like DC Cal and then Lotus 123 and then Excel, right? But do you know how the word spreadsheet came about? Somebody was lying on the bed now. Anyway, in the old days, if I run a company, right, and I'm the CEO, and I want to know my marketing guy said, if we increase our marketing budget by 10%, we will increase sales by X%, right? So all the accounting clerk has all these sheets spread out, So I said, okay, can you go and change the numbers? So they change the number, they can calculate this sheet, and I'll tell you, and you got to change your numbers and so on. That's how it works. Today, you change one number in Excel spreadsheet cell, everything is changed automatically. You are like 1,000 times more productive. And this is what AI is doing for us now too. Yeah. So basically, AI is changing the education system for better, right? You can customize courses for the kids, you can help teachers fill gaps, you can do digital content, can even do grading for you. And it's kind of creating a more equitable base for everybody. If you don't go to a tuition center, basically you can't afford to go to a tuition center and so on. Basically, you have no access to teachers. Now you can use Kamigo. You guys heard of Kamigo? Kamigo is a very useful AI application from Khan Academy. I don't know if you've heard of Khan Academy. So he started Kamigo, and it's an AI tool to help kids get tutoring and learning. In China, there's a program called Squirrel.ai, also a very useful tool. It was helping the kids in the countryside to get equitable access to tutors. Unfortunately, the Chinese government do things in a very dramatic way, right? They basically, people are complaining that, kids can't afford to have tuition teachers, all the tuition centers going up, and then the people in the rural areas saying it's not fair, and the government said, okay, no more tutoring centers. And this AI tool was also kind of got sidestepped, but now they're coming back, they are going overseas and so on. It's a very useful tool because I've seen it working, right, where the kids are using it, and it knows the kids getting bored. So you switch the lesson and then move into something more interesting. So you probably know this.
But wouldn't that help because then they can do it at home?
That's fine. I mean, they can do it at home, do it at home anyway. But the Chinese government, when they do a blanket,
Communists.
It's a way to run the country, right? So, I mean, the one thing you got to remember though, I mean, the Chinese have been as a civilization like 4,000 years old. They always have somebody at the top. And they don't have like the democracy we are accustomed to. We don't have birth say, okay? So
this AI, right? Is it very American based or is it Chinese?
It's a Chinese company, but now they're trying to enter the US market.
But then
They were trying to do what the Chinese government actually wanted to do, right? Is make it more equitable for people who couldn't afford to go to kids couldn't afford to go to tuition center, or living in a small village or kampong that don't have any access to
so
tuition.
AI is it more American or Chinese technology?
AI is universal, right? I mean, where it was developed, the term obviously came from the US, but who really cares at the end of the day? I mean, you can start an AI company in Australia or Malaysia, and who cares? How can I tell you what is Malaysian? It's universal now, except the data set that you train the AI. Okay, Australia may have the best technology, algorithms, access to power, to computers. We don't have data. We only got 25 million people. China has 1.4 billion people, and they have 2 billion unique human faces. So every time you go to China, you have to record all your biometric. You need those data to train the AI. So your question is a bit, orthogonal in the sense that it doesn't really matter. Three things you need. You need fast computers and access to infrastructure. You need algorithms, and you need data. Right? And this is another topic, but there are biases in the data that you train. The American data will have bias for American white guys, right? So you need to find data for Malaysians, or the ASEAN region that is more pertaining to it, so that the AI decisions that come out will actually be relevant. So there are a lot of biases involved that you got to be careful. So what kind of jobs are AI replacing, right? Manual ones, right? Humanoids are coming. So like I said, the jobs that are laborers that people don't really want to do, right? Healthcare, right? It's a big one. I mean, we can't find enough carers, aged care people. My father is in an aged care, and basically it's very hard to find good patient people, right? They're still humans. Cognitive jobs, right? AI is obviously very good at doing this now. They're basically decision making and stuff like that. You make decisions very fast. One thing that you hear that's coming now in AI is what they call agentic AI or AI agents. What does that mean? Now, if I want to book a restaurant, the best satay in KL, and I want to deliver to my hotel, I have to Google it, then maybe go to Grab and find it, or call the restaurant, or something like that. AI agent is acting like an agent for you. It will actually use your computer to connect, or your phone and connect you to the restaurant and talk and make reservations for you. It's an agent, actually do things for you. It's coming, it's already here actually. Claude is doing it, and OpenAI is about to launch it too. And then obviously the artistic, you guys have seen, right? All these AI generated videos and so on. It's amazing, isn't it? It's like I said, you can make your own movie. You basically, I think the cool thing is like, last time if you want to be a Hollywood director, how are you going to do it? Unless you know Michelle Yeoh, right? I mean, you know her, but she doesn't know you. That's the problem. So there's some of the things that you need to look at. And then the other thing that I want to tell you guys about is cyber twin. You know what the cyber twin concept is? What is it?
Vision of you.
It's a simulation. It's a complete simulation of you, in the digital form. Why? Why is it important? Because when you and I take medication, dosage and so on, it's been tested on what? Mainly white population in the US or Europe. You and I genetically are not similar to the white guys, right? But you are given the same dosage. Everybody gets the same, same shoe fits everybody, and it doesn't, right? So if you create a cyber twin, you can test the medication and the impact on your body without going to human trials and so on. So you can bespoke some of this stuff. So these are really exciting things that are happening. They're not doing cyber twin just for humans. They're doing it for like airport simulation, factories, and so on. Before you build a factory, run everything, simulate the whole thing, make sure that everything works smoothly, and then launch it. Now, I'm going to warn you about certain things, right? So you guys heard about this problem with, in Facebook's men's room and also the Marriott Hotel. If a white person put their hand on the soap dispenser, it will dispense soap. If a black person put their hand there, no soap. Right? This is the first apartheid soap dispenser. It wasn't designed to be like that, but it was obviously designed by a bunch of white guys who never thought that skin pigmentation would be a problem. But it was a problem. Why am I showing you this? Because when you guys go out and develop or invest in an AI company, make sure that they keep everybody inclusive. Make sure that everybody is consulted, not just a bunch of guys thinking that this is what the world needs and then go launch it. Once the genie is out of the bottle, you can't put it back in. It is a small problem, right? But imagine the impact of AI, right? Like OpenAI went and put this thing out. Like now I asked OpenAI, how can I, design a bomb, or whatever, right? So this is the thing, you've got to be very careful. So I was at UbiTech in Shenzhen. I mean, they're making all these robots, like humanoid robots coming out and so on. And, and they are progressing very, very rapidly in terms of when the Chinese are doing it very rapidly. And the thing is that I actually spoke at the Chinese Academy of Science in Shenzhen, right? And they showed me, really showed me, they actually grafted human brain cells onto an AI chip. Something that you can't do in the US, right? Or Australia, with the ethical concern and stuff like that, but they have done it, and they're progressing very, very rapidly. So there's some of the things that we not be careful with, be careful with. Look at this circle of AI life, right? Human research AI, humanity perfects AI, AI perfects itself in its own code, AI enslave humanity, solar flare disable AI, now we worship the sun god. Go back to the cycle again. Right. So you guys know about the trolley problem, about ethical use of AI. So a simple example is, if you're driving a autonomous vehicle like a Tesla with full self-driving, right, down a single lane bridge, and a school bus is out of control, right, 20 kids in there. You, as a human driver, can decide your life is not worth 20 kids. You can drive off the bridge and kill yourself and the kids will survive. The AI is designed to protect your life. It doesn't understand the value of kids and so on. It will smash into the bus, kill the kids, but your airbags will go off and you'll survive. How many of you will kill yourself to save 20 kids? Okay, 3 guys. Lily, you got a very good batch of graduates. Actually, that's not bad. I gave this talk in China, right, in Shanghai, at a school, at a very expensive private school. None of the kids put their hand up. I said, why? I said, I'm a kid too. First me, then my family, then everybody else. Right? So, I mean, a lot of people in the Western world will say, we'll kill ourselves to save 20 kids and so on. But when you go to the showroom, the car showroom, and they said, Lily, would you buy this car? It's always ethically correct, but may kill you. This car will never kill you. So would you buy a car that will kill you? So you probably won't do it, right? That's the thing, right? What we say and what we do. So they actually did this interesting thing. You can try the MIT moral machine. MIT created this problem, right? Would you kill like an old person or a robber or a pet to save your own life and so on? And they came out with some fantastic results. They published it. People from the Asian culture, Confucianism and so on, like the old people, they would kill themselves to save old people. The Western world is like, you live too long, something like that. So there was a very interesting disparity of AI. So when you design AI, that comes back to your question, is AI American? Well, it's depending on the culture you're applying it to, right? So you need to teach AI a wide spectrum of different cultural differences. In fact, if you try OpenAI now, most of the questions you ask is very biased towards the Western world. So this is another interesting one, right? Before before cameras were invented, everybody saw miracles, right? They saw, angels, they saw all this stuff. Then when cameras invented, all the claims kind of fell off. Then Photoshop came, and then all this stuff came out again. And now with AI, even worse, right? You got all, AI Unleashed has gone exponential, right? You guys have seen it. You see this video, right? Oh my God. Yeah. So you wouldn't know, right? If I post it, you would think it's real. Yeah, so this will show you, like what AI can actually do. So one of the things we need to teach kids is like what is real and what is not. How do you tell that? It's becoming more and more difficult, right? So one of the things that I want to talk about too is, have you guys heard of effective computing? It is basically using computing tools like AI to detect micro-facial expression and tonal impression of the voice. So in the Queensland Institute of Medical Research more than 5 years ago, they were already doing this for basically helping psychologists and psychiatrists. They found that a lot of patients that come get misdiagnosed for depression. Basically humans are only about 85 to 86% accuracy. But by using this high vision camera, looking at your facial expression and your voice, they can increase the accuracy to about 95, 96%. So a lot of people go and see the psychiatrist, psychologist, or counselor and say, "Oh, I'm fine," and then go out and do something silly, right? So they don't know. You don't know they're being stressed out, and that's why you need some of this technology. And I'll mention one of the projects that my wife is working on, and if you guys are interested, have a chat with her. So there's a company at Singularity. When I was at Singularity, it's an Israeli company actually called Beyond Verbal. They used to have this app called Moody's. I used to use it. It's amazing. When somebody gives a talk like myself, I turn it on. It will tell me this guy is lying or whatever. So if he's lying, I just walk out. Right? What's the point? Right? You're wasting time. So it was amazing. It was an amazing app. So you can't lie, right? You can talk to anybody, just turn it on. They remove it. You know why? Because they collected data and they use it. It was free to use. Where they make the money? They use the whole data set and now they sell it to call centers. So when you call Maxis and complain about your mobile thing, they will turn it on. And then they were like, "Oh, this lady, she will never be satisfied. Hang on." So they know. So they're selling it to CRM call centers and so on. Now this is an interesting, scary one, right? When AI is too accurate. This guy, right? Let me see. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay, look, this guy is teaching, how to recognize the face, happy, and then he's angry, right? So he said it's 18 to 23, the AI knows that. See the normal woman, 565 years old, expression of English. So maybe it was haunted, like 565-year-old woman, the AI just recognized. But anyway, okay, there's a bit of a joke there. But anyway, so we need to have some guardrails to protect AI, right, from being misused. So there's the other company I basically co-founded, but this is my friend David Orban, and this is the Optimus robot. The most important thing when you got an AI robot is find out where the off switch is. Because if you're doing something silly, how are you going to turn it off? So that's the button, okay? It's behind the neck. Anyway, so this is a company I co-founded. We won the best Australian startup last year, and we went to Hong Kong and came second. Not because we were second best, but because Hong Kong hosted it, so Hong Kong won. So anyway, but what we do is basically, I don't know whether you guys know, like all the new cameras now got AI chips on them. So none of the information needs to be processed on the computer outside. Everything is processed within the camera. But the problem is, how do you know what's running in the camera? So for example, we are partnered up with like a Panasonic guys, so they've got millions of cameras out there right now. But how do you know what actually works and what don't, right? And what's in your camera? So for example, I can install these Panasonic iPro cameras in the factory. I can draw a forklift around the screen, and within 5 minutes, it will tell me where all the forklifts are. Very quick, very easy, nothing is processed outside, all within the camera. What happens if you got a pedophile, goes to the beach and draw a 3-year-old girl, you'll find for him all the 3-year-old girls. How do you know what's running in your camera? So we are the guys providing the guardrail to control all this stuff. So we are my co-founders and Chris is the CEO. So I chaired the AI and ethics community conference in European AI in Oxford before COVID. So basically that's what we do. And we also do things like monitoring people falling down and stuff like that. So if you guys want to develop an AI program for using camera for your particular application, for example, we are also on trial in the Meta Hospital in Brisbane for detecting a respiratory rate of patients. Because, if you remember COVID, people used to put a sensor on the chest or on the neck to report the respiratory rate. Problem is, like, if the sensor falls off, the guy stops breathing. Nobody knows, right? So the camera is always on. So we wrote the algorithm to read the respiratory rate. So the moment the breathing stops or goes slow, it will send a signal to the. We're not going to send the face and everything. You don't need all this information. All you need is using the camera as a sensor. So you can go write your own application for whatever tools you want to use and put it on our platform. We're like an iTunes store, but you've got to be verified by us that you don't have any malicious stuff in there. Like, who knows what you're doing in the camera? So we are the guys who are basically the guys who got it. So we also do like compliance, like the doctor is doing surgery on you. You heard a lot of times, right? The doctor forgot and left a forceps in the stomach. So the camera will detect all this stuff. But obviously, we will not send data of the face and all that. The other thing we're doing is interesting too, PPE compliance. But also in the surgical theatre, a lot of time there's so many people in there, you don't even know who they are. Even the doctors don't know who they are. It could be a pervert that's coming in and trying to come in, right? So this is why you need some of these applications. So the other thing I want to talk about is like basically in terms of like the changes in the world, right? So you've got like non-profits and you've got profitable companies, but each has its own problem, right? So it's like the think tank I was in, Singularity University, started as a non-profit, but it was very difficult to survive. Every year we had to look for sponsors, we had to look for donors. We can't take shares in companies that we actually spin off because we're a non-profit. And then we didn't want to be a totally profitable company because then you answer to the shareholders. And the problem then is you might be forced to do things that you think is wrong. For example, you might have to pay a whole bunch of orang asli from the settlement. It's legal, but it's ethically wrong. But you have to do it because you have to answer to the shareholders. If you don't do it, you get sued. This all goes back to like I think the 30s when Henry Ford. Like those days Ford had the best quality because you know why? I'll tell you the story actually. What happened was Henry Ford brought a union leader to show him all his new assembly line machines are going to take over the jobs and all that. And the union leader said, who is going to buy the cars? Because his employee got a good pay and they obviously liked the things they made, they bought the car. So that's why then it struck Henry Ford that maybe he should pay top dollar for top engineers and workers. And he did that. And what happened was, I think in the 30s, he wanted to open a factory, I think in Tennessee or somewhere. And unfortunately for him, one of the shareholders of his company was the founder of General Motors. And he sued him, said, why are you paying more than what the market rate is? And he lost. And from then onwards, the US Supreme Court basically said that, you have to take care of the shareholders, not for the betterment of society. So it's a problem. So a compromise of this is what a benefit corporation, which what Singularity became. So a benefit corporation can make profit, but can turn down any projects that they deem to be going against the reason for their company existence. So
social enterprise, I mean, I'm very
it's a benefit corporation. So,
Malaysian context.
I don't know whether Malaysia has it, but Australia already have it, and a few other
So
places.
it's very new.
Maybe 3-4 years. Yeah. And then our current system is kind of screwed, right? There are 3.5 million homeless people in US, and there are like 18.6 million vacant homes. Obviously, the system is not working, right? Capitalism system, it worked for a long time very well, but this is obviously not working, right? And then we are wasting food, and I went to Kenya because my friend runs a charity called Lunch Bowl. These kids only get fed good meal once a week, right, in Kenya. And this is the worst slum over there. It was very, very sad. And then, you guys know about climate change, so I want to talk about that. And the other problem is medical, right? Like what do they teach in medical school? A patient cure is a customer loss. If you think about it, right, we don't have a healthcare system today. We have a sick care system. When you are healthy, nobody makes money. If you are sick, everybody makes money. So the model is screwed up, right?
Just like life insurance, you get paid when you're dead.
So your kids will have the benefit.
You don't get paid.
So look at this one, right? In order to make an appointment, you first have to update his operating system, download an app. By the time you did all that, he was dead, right? So AI can do this for you as an agent. So do we have a healthcare system or a sick care system? We have a sick care system, right? So we need to change the model. So at Singularity, we were trying to figure out how to do this. And one of the things we did was we looked at the Chinese village doctor model. In ancient China, the village doctor gets paid by everyone in the village if they are not sick. If they are sick, they don't pay. If they die, obviously, then you lose a customer, right? So it was in the best interest of the doctor to make sure everybody is healthy. And we were trying to figure out how to actually do that model. In a way, in Australia, we used to have the private insurance Medibank, which was run by the government. And the benefits of the company the Medibank makes money, all the members benefit. Then the government is infinite wisdom decided to sell it in public listed. So then what happens? They answer to the shareholders, and the shareholders might not be members. So they only do as much as they can for the patients, as long as they can attract new customers, right? So that's the problem. So luckily, there's a lot of technology that's coming aboard now. There's something called personal medicine. So for example, I can take a blood sample or urine sample and basically send it to the cloud, and it will basically decide what's wrong, what my issues are, and maybe I can 3D print my medication or my vitamins. So it will change. Right now, you're just taking the same dose every day, right? But your body is changing all the time. So hopefully with technology, you can diagnose at home and then 3D print your medication, right?
So the doctors will be affected.
Yeah, so they got more time now to lay off, right? They can do other more interesting things, right? I mean, what would a doctor do nowadays? If something wrong with you, they will refer you to a specialist. Other than that, really, I mean, I guess, if you use Google Doctor, it'll probably be about the same advice you would get anyway, right? So you have more choices and more informed. The other one that I want to talk to you guys about, I just came from, my wife and I were at the South by Southwest conference, and we were in Sydney. So they normally have it once a year in Austin, Texas, but they had it in Australia. In Sydney. Australia, yeah. So I was the one in Sydney 2 weeks ago. And one of the things we have the problem right now is that the model for social media is to keep your eyeballs on the screen and make you keep scrolling, because that's how they get paid. So you are addicted to it without even knowing it, right? Especially kids, right? And this is very harmful. And you can't really change the technology, but you can change the business model. You got to figure out a business model. How do you actually disrupt that? So maybe you pay extra, you don't have advertisement, but then at least you know that you're not going to be programmed to keep looking at ads. Right, so you want to disrupt that, right? It's not easy to break you away from addiction to the phone because right now the model is to make you look at it so they can get paid. So what you're seeing now is a convergence of all this technology, robotics, synthetic biology, it's like basically programming, biological, like genetic engineering really. All these are coming into one place, right? Like I told you, right, that you can use AI now to simulate digital twin, and you can basically not even have to test your drug on number of people, and someone will die from it. You can actually simulate everything and get the results in a more efficient manner and safer manner. Now, we talk about this, right? Like robots took away your job, but the other way to look at it is, it took away my job. Now you're free to enjoy life, but how do you pay for it? That's why you got these basic income models and so on, which Elon Musk is talking about, right? What kind of jobs AI can replace? I mean, all this stuff, right? Anything is reading and writing, AI can do speaking and listening, looking at things, integrating knowledge. So, driving cars, we're already seeing that. Preparing food, because AI robotics, they're actually doing some of this stuff. Especially lawyers. Any lawyers here?
I'm a lawyer.
Okay, there you go. Right? I mean, most of you guys now can outsource to India anyway, right? They got all the Malaysian lawyers there, my brother's a lawyer. But you can replace that with AI, because AI will have read all the books and it can get it to write a legal clause for you or review it for you. Same thing with like radiologists and all that, right? In Australia, they actually send it to India, and then basically they do the analysis and then send the report back and hit the signs off. Today, you don't need that anymore, it will be replaced. Actually, an interesting talk on Tuesday when I was on the AI panel, Danny Tan from Gen AI Fund or something, he was saying that in the Philippines, the real estate market is being disrupted by AI. How? The call centers, because the Filipino, a lot of them run the call centers. Today now you can use the AI to do the chatting, So the real estate companies have been renting out buildings to all these call centers. Suddenly they find all these call centers are closing down, and now they're stuck with real estate that are empty buildings inside. So we need to kind of break out of this whole thing, right? You go to school, study hard, go to work, have family, and then die. Right? This is what we are doing, right? So you need to kind of find a purpose and stuff like that. So one of the things I talk about is like, you guys know about ikigai, right? So, like I know this lady who runs a movement called Follow Your Passion. Like, Clarence, you got to always follow your passion. I said, no, you can't. He said, why? You should always follow your passion. I said, what if I'm a serial killer? My passion is killing people. Should I follow my passion, or I'm a hunter, right? I just hunt every animal in the world, right? So basically, you need to find out what you love to do, right? But that's not enough, right? You need to find out what the world needs. Look at the UN, SDGs, for example. What kind of skill set you have? I want to go to the moon, but don't know how to get there. What's the point? So you need to get the skill set. And finally, you need to be paid by dollars of income, right? So those things is what the Japanese call sense of purpose, right? Sense of being, right? So how do you do each of this, right? How do you find your passion? One of the things is like find out what you like to do when you were a kid. When I was a kid, I would take apart all my electrical toys and stuff like that. So maybe that's why I started as an electrical engineer, right? Or imagine yourself already a billionaire today. What would you do today to change the world? That's what you should be doing, rather than wait until you become a billionaire. Right? So how do you acquire the skills? Obviously, you can go to university, you can go online, or go to Startup Malaysia, right? Or any other startup weekend. You get some real experience doing stuff like that. So there are many ways to acquire skills. No one single path is the right one anyway, right? Bill Gates, Jobs, Zuckerberg all never finished university. And then what the world needs, look at the big goals again, right? No poverty, zero hunger, good health, well-being, quality of education, gender equality, clean water. Look at any of these areas. Now I'll show some stuff that I'm doing, right? This lady, this small girl, Emily Yang, right? She's a young girl, and she worked on trying to help her grandmother remember stuff, which is Alzheimer's. I think she was like 16 or 14 years old, right? And she was passionate enough to try to do something like that, and she managed to do it. And today, with all these AI tools and all this stuff you have, you can do something like this, because AI can even write the code for you. I think by next month, or maybe in the next 6 months at least, you won't need to write any more programming code. So programmers, you saw the new article, like in University of California, Berkeley Computer Science Department. They are 4.0, perfect grade, undergraduate, graduated, couldn't find jobs. in Silicon Valley, you know. So you can see the disruption coming already.
It's happening.
Yeah. So this is the program called Timeless. It basically helped the grandmother remember stuff and things like that. So one of the organizations that I actually invested in and also part of, studied this fellow. If you don't know who he was the first CEO of Singularity University, and he came out with this idea about how to grow a business exponentially. And that's why originally I was going to talk about like how do you actually change the mindset to take for exponential, which I hope I've done a little bit in terms of thinking about exponential curves, right? So he basically went and studied how these companies grew exponentially. And he found that there were basically 10 attributes. Then there's a follow-up book called Exponential Transformation, which my friend Francisco wrote, and I was one of the collaborators. So I was going to highlight myself here. A lot of people know. So there's this EXO canvas thing, you know, which you guys don't know, may not know about, but I can quickly tell you. I only talk about MTP, but the rest are basically pretty important to how to grow a business exponentially. The most important thing is what they call the massive transformative purpose. Massive as in like a moonshot, okay? So you have your own personal MTP, it's like your guiding compass or what you want to do in life. Transformative, transform not just yourself, but the whole world or the industry, and the purpose should be noble, right? So for example, Coca-Cola's MTP is open happiness. Google is organizing the world's information. If you look at Google search engine, Google glasses, Google car, it's all about organizing information.
But it's also causing numbers more outside the weapons.
Well, you know, that is not like humans, right? Well, yeah, anyway, well, I didn't say they're good or bad. I'm telling you what an MTP is.
Yeah.
Did he say that you will not, you will avoid war? Google's unofficial motto before Satya became the CEO was "Do no evil." Anyway, but the main thing is that you know you need to find a succinct way to describe what you really want to do in life. Okay, what an MTP is, and then there are this acronym is actually scale, SCALE. How do you scale a business? How do you grow a business exponentially? The first is stuff on demand. So anything that's not key to your business, like accounting is not your strong skill, outsource it. So your business slows down, you turn off the tap. You don't have an overhead. C is community, right? How do you build a community to support what you're doing, right? Because the community is very important, like what Lily is doing, right? Keeping you guys still informed and connecting everybody, right? It's very important because community could be your collaborators, your partners, your investors, your clients. But why would they want to join you? Your MTP, if it resonates with them. Even stuff on demand, right? If your core technology, you obviously should keep in-house. Anything that's not core, outsource it. How do you keep your stuff? Your MTP again. You know, if your MTP is do something amazing for the world, maybe they'll accept a lower pay and stick with you because they can see the big picture of what you're trying to do. If you're just there for the money, you know, somebody else offer more money, they'll be gone, right? Then algorithms. How do you actually use computers and so on to automate the tasks they're doing, right? L is leverage assets. Like, don't go buy a building just because you need space when you're starting up, right? Maybe you can just use the kopitiam downstairs or something, right? Engagement. How do you engage with the community? You need to contact them and so on. So WhatsApp is a good one. I think you guys maybe do newsletters or whatever. Like, people go to McDonald's not because they make the best burger, right? But they know how to engage you because it's a monopoly game and you feel like you need to go and get it or whatever, right? They know how to engage you. So that's how to grow the business exponentially. But how do you manage it when it's growing? So you've got this acronym called IDEAS. I is interface. How does your stakeholders interact with you, right? So if you're like an iTunes store, even while you're sleeping at night and you're downloading the app, you're making money, right? But if you're like a high-end real estate person, you have to like wine and dine your clients. It's not very scalable. You will make your money if you sell it, but if you don't, then basically you have to do, there's only so much time you can sell, right? You can't scale. D is dashboard. How do you measure how well you're doing? Obviously, profit is one, but that's not the only thing. Okay, anything that's digitized can be measured. How many people come to your website and do something good, or how many people you save, or whatever it is, what you're going to measure, because what you cannot measure, you cannot improve. E is experimentation. Do you allow yourself and your staff to try out new things? And let them fail, because there's a learning process, but fail often and fail early. The problem is that you don't let them do that. You think your idea is the best thing in the world. New technology comes in, take away your lunch, you're gone. A is autonomy. Do you allow your guys to get the job done, or are you a control freak? Everything must go through you. Then you can't scale. You are the bottleneck. And the final one is the social technology, social media. By the way, you don't need all of this to be successful. You only need at least four attributes. That's what they found. So basically, the MTP, like why you have it, inspire community reform, help attract talent, because what Salim found, he was the head of Yahoo Brickworks, which was like the in-house innovation lab. Every time they come out a new idea, the immune system, we call it the autoimmune system of the company, attacks it. Because they don't want change. It's a natural human instinct to resist change. Right? Something works, don't fix it. Right? Which is why Apple, when they were making the Apple Watch, they moved the entire division outside Apple. Very few people knew that Apple was making a watch, not even Apple people, senior people. Once they launched it, they brought it back in. Why? Because if they put it inside Apple, the guys doing the Mac or doing the iPad, like, why doing the watch? We're not a watchmaker, and so on, and we gone. So that's why they actually removed the entire company. So there's some example here, right? Organized world information, TED, ideal world spreading, Singularity was impacting 1 billion people positively, Coca-Cola's open happiness. So my personal MTP is seek, share, and apply knowledge to progress humanity, which is why I'm here tonight with you, right? Because if it doesn't meet my MTP, I probably won't be here. I will always pay for time than spend time. That's why I don't really envy lawyers, doctors who sell their time. How much can you sell your time for, right? You can't get back time when you get back money, right? At the moment, you can't get time. Right? So I'm waiting for my future self come in a time machine and say, Clarence, you got a time machine. Then I can relate part with you guys, right? So basically, that's my MTP, right? And then the open EXO is transform the world for a better future. So these are some of the projects I'm working on that I'm going to share with you guys. I co-founded this company. We are making smart and affordable portable wheelchairs. I don't know whether you know, like 80 million people in the world need wheelchairs. We only manufacture like 1 million motorized ones and 5 million non-motorized ones. And this all happened because my very good friend from my Citibank days in Hong Kong, he became the head of one of the investment bank in Thailand, an American guy. He was living in Bangkok, and outside his home was this beggar who was a farmer from Cambodia that lost his leg in a mine. So he didn't have a leg, and he was pushing himself in his plank. His name is really long, so we call it Max Planck. So anyway, Max, basically we were making hoverboards those days. We're trying to use for enterprise use. We gave one to him. Even though it's self-balancing, if you don't have a leg, it's very difficult. So we make harnesses and so on. Very difficult, but so that's what led us to, why don't we take out the gut of this hoverboard and stick it into a wheelchair? So that's what we did. And essentially, we made a chair that is light and portable, foldable, has unlimited range. You can take out and put new batteries in there. And has intelligent robotics, and follow a line or you walk your dog. But the amazing thing is the price of an iPhone, high-end iPhone, about $3,000 US or $2,000 the basic model. And we basically make sure that you can you can fold up the seats when you go into the dining area, because I'm not sure you guys know, like if somebody in your home is immobile, whole family is kind of grounded, So
not only whole family is grounded, whole family is mentally exhausted.
Yeah, we understand that, right? So this is the thing we're trying to help solve. And a lot of people, okay, you're a motorized wheelchair, you're fine. But they don't understand that sometimes the only exercise a person gets is pushing himself. That's why our chair is actually manual power assist and full power. And then obviously, we can control from the app and so on. And we also incorporated the chat bot into it now, so you can actually talk to it. So we were actually part of the Techstar Future Longevity Accelerator. We were selected as one of the 3 hardware companies in Washington, D.C., funded by Melinda Gates' family office, pivotal partners. This was during just about COVID about to be lifted. I was one of the first people to leave Australia to go to there, because we had to move the company from Thailand to US because the family office cannot invest in any non-American companies. So my CEO basically wanted to create this, and our MTP is creating an inclusive society until everybody can walk. We know that cyberskeletons, exoskeletons will come, and soon you can grow your own limbs. Then we will cease to exist, which is fine. But until then, you need this technology to help a lot of people out there who don't have it. This is Melinda Gates writing on a chair. So if you have access to masterclass, we are in episode 23 of Impact Giving class that she's teaching. So that's Melinda Gates, and that's my CEO. So yeah, we're actually crowdfunding now. So go have a look at it. Robotech.co. The chair is called Abby. I don't have Epic here, but the other project I want to talk about is my wife's project, and basically it's called Cybella. And what we found is that in the Asian community, particularly youth, there's a very high suicide rate because they have nobody to talk to. And in Asia, I think in Asian culture, it is very difficult. Well, first of all, very hard to tell the parents. If you tell the parents, they probably take you to a temple or I mean, it's a factor, right? Because they don't know how to solve this, right? I mean, and you're to find a psychologist in Malaysia, I don't think it's so easy. Actually, my classmate is a top psychiatrist here, right? Dr. Stephen Jabunathan, right? So this is the thing, right? So we want to kind of basically create an ability for the kid to be able to converse with like a friend who's always there for them. There are a lot of tools that can talk to you and diagnose you of having depression, but then what do they say? Go see a psychiatrist, seek professional help. In Asia, it's not so easy, right? In Australia and US, maybe it's more an accepted thing. Over here, it's very difficult. So we want to be able to have an AI program, and that's what I was talking to Lily to, like maybe teach them the Silva method, or some way to take their mind off. I didn't know all this because my wife's finishing her MBA at Griffith, but she also took an elective at the Center for Sociology. And, I always thought like, oh, well, this guy gets depressed and we go jump off, right? But it's not the case. So people are actually planning, but I want to go fishing, or I want to go badminton, I want to go jump off. It's already pre-planned. So how do you actually avoid that step? There's the prevention, there's the intervention, and then obviously, unfortunately, it'll be post-vention. So that will be too late. So yeah, so we're working on those. So two components to it. One is actually using those effective computing methodology I just showed you, diagnosing your facial expression, your voice. And the second part is how do you interact with it? How do you actually talk to them? So I don't know how much time. Oh, okay. So I can leave some time for question and answer. So this is just me with a whole bunch of different people. Steve Wozniak, right? This guy, you know these guys? Yeah, Tim. So he was the father of the World Wide Web, right? He hates Google. Wearing a Chrome shirt. Clarence, can you change this shirt? I said, sorry. Matt Moran, and this guy, Jack Andraka, he's a very interesting kid, right? 15 years old, he was very passionate about finding a way to diagnose pancreatic cancer. Because if you know anything about pancreatic cancer, it's a very fast disease. Once you diagnose, you probably have a very short time to live. So he wanted to find a faster way to do it. I think you can watch his TED talk about like how he was in class and he was trying to read this paper on how to create a nanotube to do this test. And what happened was his teacher took the paper and whacked him in the head and said, pay attention to your class, right? But he's the kid that invented methodology that is 600 times cheaper and I think 120 times faster than any methodology out there. He wrote to 120 professors around where he lived to see whether they would let him try this experiment. He got, I think, 119 rejections. Only one person said, come at my lab and try. And he actually did, and he won the Intel prize. Managed to work on it. That is Lee, what's his name? He's the last mile dancer who was with me. So I think that's all I have for for the stuff in there. But this is some other talks that I did. But basically, if you guys have the gene sequence, see which part of the world you're from. We had a sequence when I was at NASA with the 23andMe, and it's interesting. Like my father, is from Hainan Island, so quite interesting. But my mom was from Fuzhou. My late mom.
and she was highly correlated to American Indians. So that's why I said, I should go to US, take some Indian reservation then and open a casino in Chinese. Anyway, so I think I'll end with that, but there are a few other things that I work on, but I'll have time to go through.
Yeah. I think the world will be a much better place if the profession of politicians need certification and qualification. Because all other professionals need, you see, you're a doctor, you need a medical degree.
No, I'm not a medical doctor, I'm a PhD.
I know. The thing is that all of us, if you're professionals, you need qualification. But a politician can be a dustbin guy or a prostitute or anybody can be a politician, right? So I think AI could develop a system, maybe call it ISO 100,000 or something like that.
That's an interesting point, They did a study in the US. They found that 45% of the Americans interviewed prefer an AI boss. You think it's less biased? So,
you see the politicians, people like Joe Biden, want to start off World War III, he's mentally deranged, right? He's senile, he's a warmonger, and these type of people are going to be politicians. People endanger the world, So I think it's time that the world use AI to pre-qualify them. You see, the reason why China and Singapore actually are very prosperous, you know what the main reason? That they're pre-selected. Because if you do not have these qualities, you cannot be a minister. You have not managed people before, you cannot be a minister. So the same thing, there's now qualification for politicians. You can do anything, you can be anything, you can be a dustbin man, anyone can be a politician. Right? Useless people.
What do you have against dustbin men? The thing is that, then what about Lee Kuan Yew? How did he qualify to become who?
He's the oddball, He's not common. Most common, especially you see Europe, all the idiots are the politicians, the political leaders. That's why Europe is in big trouble. Because
so for me personally, I think for democracy to be applicable, you need two major things. You need, first of all, to meet all the basic needs of the people.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, you talk about India being the world's largest democracy. At the end of the day, the farmer in the field is he more concerned where his next bowl of rice is going to come from or the nuclear policy of India. Right?
Yeah.
And the second thing, they have to be educated.
Yeah.
For example, in America, Texas is the largest state in America. So whatever Texas Board of Education decide what book to buy, all the states will have to follow more or less, because the publisher will cater for the largest market. And it's very scary because Texas is full of Southern Baptist, politicians and so on. If you look at some of the textbooks, science book, you go Google it, They put down there, because they are more creationists than believe in theory of evolution. They talk about electricity is a natural phenomenon that God gave us that we don't really understand. This is actually in the book, right? So this is the thing that we've been dumbed down and taught to the kids in school. So this is the thing, right? I mean, I think you need these two things to actually happen before you have democracy.
I think one more thing, moral value is very important. Politicians have no morals, a lot of politicians have no morals. They just want to fill up a pocket.
There's a moral value, but bad morals. That's the problem.
Right. So good. So that's your project for the rest of the class. So you go to use ChatGPT and see what you found.
Just shifting gears from politics, because I know that's a very interesting topic, right? And we could take all day. I just wanted to say, Dr. Clarence, thank you for sharing your journey.
Sure.
Tell us, right, since you're a Silva graduate, right, how is there an intersect between the methodologies of the Silva method and the work that you do? How has it benefited you personally in your growth, and you see potential for there to
Well, I told them I think the main strength that I found from the I was 14-year-old taking the program was the visualization exercises, and like as a teenager you got so much stress, right? So I think I was using for a while the water technique every night. Right? I don't know whether it actually helped solve the problem, but at least I'm still here talking to you. Pretty happily. So I think the ability to relax and go to your mental
well-being is so important. Even when I was at Singularity University, I was just telling you, it's a very intense program, and that's why it was really hard to get in. Like, they only accept 2% of worse than Harvard. They only select 80 people every year from 35 countries, and it was very intense, so intense that, like, middle of the night, people will be talking about quantum computing and all that. So if you feel like sometimes you're not into this tech stuff and all that, you're like a fish out of water. I mean, you got people like basically breaking them. So that's why they had to be very selective on who to bring in into the program. But we did meditation every morning and every night. Not the Silva method, but similar stuff. They had, I think during lunchtime too, you had to do it because they know that it's really stressful. And I think it's a really important exercise to do. I mean, like Jose Silva, I think, had some of his methodology tested at the Duke University Center of Parapsychology when they had a department there, right? So I think a lot of it is pretty, it's quite accurate, and basically helping you find a way to cope with resilience. I think is a word that they use a lot. And I think kids should actually be taught some kind of methodology like this. And now with biofeedback products like this Aura ring, right? I mean, you guys seen that, right? 11 sensors in here. I've attended Silva Mind Control with in Malaysia first, and I retook it when I was doing a summer course in Hawaii with Robert B. Stone. Then I also took it in Australia and retaking. I mean, it's pretty much the same thing, right? But the thing is, it's interesting that some of the guys in Australia said they were using this ring, and when they went to the alpha level, you can actually see, basically the feedback from the Aura ring, that they go into a meditative state. Haven't had me personally, but then I'm kind of lazy. Like, I like to meditate when I'm lying down and I fall asleep. So
that is also another form of meditation.
That's true. But yeah, I find it really works, and I share with them, and I think Lily has got the video of the interview with me. For me, like the clearest thing that worked for me was against all odds, I became the first Lanao State swimmer for Clarence, right? Which had no swimming pool, no coach, against the Ikan Bilis Club and all these other guys, and I was 16 plus from 4. And everybody is open from 5, but there were under 16 and under 21. So I took part in the under 21, right? I mean, you would think that there's no way. And I visualized myself swimming, finishing the whole thing, and I did. But my body couldn't take it, I guess. I got up and threw up, a couple of times, and I won 2 gold medals, so that was pretty amazing. Because academically, I was pretty high up there, so I've not achieved anything on the sports field. And swimming was the only thing that I knew, because I had sinus issues in Malaysia, so couldn't really run anything. So anyway, that's why I think it does work, and I think the kids should be kind of taught like some kind of methodology. Because I think in Thailand they do go to temple and learn meditation and stuff like that. But again, the Buddhist monk told me, right, it's a passive way of doing it. It takes a long time and a lot of patience. While Jose discovered a way to do this dynamic meditation very quickly.
Dr. Clarence, actually when Lily invited me and my wife, and when I look at the poster, I had no idea what is it. And then when I came, I saw on the first slide with all your awards, and you're the founder of this, and then on your chest with all these badges. It just reminded me of it just reminded me of the the picture that I saw yesterday when Putin was awarding to a war veteran. Dr. Clarence, I mean, this is not a joke. I was absolutely impressed with the things that you shared with us. Artificial intelligence in relation to the human mind. It is still an artificial intelligence, right? Do you think that artificial intelligence can replace the human mind with consciousness?
Very good question. Because how do you think the term singularity came about? Singularity University. Because Ray Kurzweil, the founder, wrote the book Singularity is Near. He believed that we will merge with computers at the end of the day. That's why we will survive. People say AI is going to take over and everything, right?
At the end of the day, we will probably merge with the machine. That's the part I didn't talk about. So the big thing now is brain-computer interface. You heard of Neuralink, right? It's not the only company. There are many other companies doing the same thing, interfacing the brain to a computer. So, give you an example, the Google glasses, right? Or now the Ray-Ban metaverse glasses, right? I can look into the glasses, but my eyes have to receive information, which has to go to my brain to process it. Imagine that step of me having to look at it goes directly into my brain. So whatever I think happens, right? And they already done it, right? The people who have got multiple sclerosis and ALS and so on cannot move their body. They can actually implant it and then basically able to live in a virtual world, right? And the thing is, if you can connect it to the brain, then what is reality, right? You can own a Ferrari. I can't afford a real Ferrari. I can take a photo of the Ferrari, 3D scanning. In my mind, in my brain, I mean, that's what we learn at Silva Mind Control, right? Feel it, smell it, taste it. Well, this is actually going to be real. Because you will be able to smell the leather, you'll be able to touch it, you'll be able to drive it, or if you crash it, you won't die, right? Because you are actually in a simulation. But you won't know it's a simulation, because it's actually, I mean, augmented reality is combining real and digital world. And then obviously, virtual reality is completely virtual. Right now, it's got big glasses and all that. But imagine all that's gone like Matrix. You plug it into your brain, and you actually merge it. So you can have a different body. You can be in a robotic body and still be you. So that's where the term singularity came about. He believed by 2035, we will merge with machines and live forever if we wanted to. In fact, not even that. He wrote a book, what's the book called? You can check it out, it's about health, right? He says that, you know, if you can live at least 20 years, we will be able to extend life for another 20 years. The technology is coming, right? The 3D brain, you can do stem cells, you can do all kinds of stuff, right? So you just got to live long enough, and you might be able to, what they call the escape velocity for longevity. You can probably live forever if you wanted to, right? Unless you get knocked down by a bus. So don't get knocked down by a bus. But essentially, you know, the world is very positive in that sense. But most people will say like, if I live 90, cukup lah. You know, that's until you get to 89. Then you're like, oh shit.
Now I have a follow-up question. When I saw your presentation, I saw the multitudes of things that AI could contribute to humanity. I'm close to retirement. I have an aspiration to make good use of my remaining life to help the elders. In the context here in Malaysia, a lot of Malaysians, elderly, especially the non-Malays, most of the children are overseas and they're living alone, and they're very lonely, you know, and they are trapped. So when I saw the thing that you said that there is this, you know, detecting your facial expression, things like that, and then I also saw your wheelchair, the AI, you know, wheelchair.
Yeah.
I think there's a tremendous a lot of scope for an aging, you know, society across the globe.
That's why I'm doing this project, because my own father has Parkinsonism. He can only shuffle. His mind is really sharp. He's 89. I brought him back to Malaysia actually. There's a startup called Renew in Mikasa. They do a very good job actually. Basically that's one of the main reasons why I was doing this project. The problem was like when we moved to the US, I think we got Melinda Gates and everything, like raising funds would be so easy, right? I think we need to raise it for $1.5 million. We can start manufacturing full scale. Our factory is in China, and as you know, anything you do with technology from China and the US, you know, like the VCs won't touch it. It's hardware too. No problem bringing the chair into US because it's a compassionate product. But I don't know whether you know the landscape of the US, right? If you get FDA approval for your wheelchair, and you can only sell to the insurance companies, right? Motorized wheelchair, it will cost at least 10,000 US, right? 5 times what we are trying to sell it for. And the problem is an oligopoly of 5 companies that control it. And the insurance company will only give you the wheelchair if you can prove to them your life depends on it. But you see, that's why we are trying to sell our chair as a mobility device, not a medical device. It's like a Tesla, right? A lot of people don't actually have a medical issue, they might be just getting old and getting weak. And you know, Rotary do a good job trying to send wheelchairs to third world country. But they have no idea how many people use it. When they are manual wheelchairs, grandpa cannot push grandma for so long, then who's going to push grandpa? Right? So this is what we're trying to disrupt and trying to do, basically. And if you see all this cheap picture coming from China, then the quality begs the question, right? So
Your presentation shows shown a lot of things that you do, and one thing that caught me is the social enterprise. Do you call yourself a social entrepreneur?
So I don't know about my slides for the other one. Basically, I didn't have time to show you the other project I'm working on. I'm trying to find partners to take it all because I just have too many things. It's called EPIC, Exponential Positive Impact Capital. We are trying to connect impact investors to impact projects, but it's still profitable because as an angel investor, right, I always have this problem. If you come to me and you say, my new startup is going to be a new unicorn, my company is worth 100x or whatever. As an investor, I'm like, this piece of paper, even nothing. I think it's 0.5x, if that. We walk away, no deal done, based on a fictitious figure that nobody really knows what it is going to be. So I decided to eliminate that from the game project I showed you, the forest, where we did a revenue sharing platform. So basically, we don't take shares in a company, we take a percentage of the revenue. It's fair for everybody. I don't care what your valuation is. Who cares, right? And the other problem, when I invest in the startup, the guy starts buying a new car, hire his brother-in-law. Pain, right? Because it's
Malaysian way,
yeah, but it's your money, right? Until you see a return, right? If you don't pay a dividend, you don't exit, and you continue paying yourself a good salary for the next 20 years, I'm stuck with you, right? And this is the problem that I face, right? So I'm thinking like, how can we disrupt this? And this is what we came up with Epic, right? So yeah, sure. So there are three main criteria. First, you got to be near net revenue. We are not suitable for companies doing long-term R&D. Okay. Second, you must have margins of at least 30% and or growing exponentially. Or else how are you going to pay us a percentage, 10% or whatever, right? And thirdly, you have to be doing some good. You've got to meet at least one of the 17 SDGs. Because what I found is that, there's so many people doing like same thing, right? Take a photo of your food, and post it on Instagram. I think we have enough of that, right? So, I don't mind investing in a company and also lose, because as an angel investor, you must be prepared to lose, 1 in 15 might be successful. This is why VCs 1 in 20.
Yes.
It's not because they're greedy, but because that's the fact of the matter. Like you invest in 20 companies, only one is going to be the next unicorn and have to make back everything you lost. So we think will mitigate the problem, because the moment we invest in you, the moment you make $1, we take 10 cents. And we can take this money and reinvest into his project or her project or whatever. And that's why I think it's a fairer system. And then obviously you tell me like, yeah, but Clarence of Malaysia, there are 2 books, when they sell, they don't put it there, how are we going to know? So if you have SST or GST, we will ask you to report that. If you cheat us, you're cheating the government. So we just tell them, I think you should go and check it out. So that's one thing. And then second thing, we have a bad boy clause. If you're doing very well, but you do not want to share your pie, we can convert our investment at a very low valuation. That's only if you're doing well. If you're doing badly, what do we want your shares for?
Yeah.
Right? It's just wallpaper. So we really worked out on those. We've already done 2 companies. So one was a wheelchair project we did on the revenue share, and another one is Purpose Alliance, which is basically trying to change the world too. So those are the things that we're looking at. But my co-founders are in Netherlands and London, and basically just don't have the time to push it. But I think it's a good idea. I don't know if you guys agree, but I think it mitigates the risk for the investors and it's helping them do some good. And we should be attracting like the corporates, right? Because I heard like ESG programs here, with the Bursa, basically like Kanaga and all that, they just take the money and give it to a scholarship, and that's it, right? And they've done their job. Just like the Rotary Club, right? They donate a wheelchair, but they don't know it's being used.
Yeah.
You think that the guy in Kenya is using it, but maybe he's not, there's nobody to push, right? What's the point, So the model that we're looking at, the wheelchair at the Techstar, they told us like, instead of selling the chair for like 3,000 or 2,000, why don't you do a subscription model, $100 a month for the rest of his life? Because you'll probably be sitting in a chair for the rest of your life anyway. So after 3 years, we'll take the chair back and donate it or sell it to the third world, and we'll upgrade the chairs because it's like Tesla, right? And we can update the software. So when you buy it first, you'll only be doing basic stuff. Then we'll add in a line following and all the other stuff. Every morning you wake up, you got a new feature. That's the idea anyway. And I've got bigger features for it, like all the Lime scooters. What if you actually do the same thing for these shares, right? So you drive to a handicapped place, press a button, the chair will come to you in the mall, you know, so you don't have to carry the chair along. Anyway, that's what we do.
Dr. Clarence, yes. I have a few points, and I want your help to put it all together. Singularity, all right? 1 point. There's no difference between our imagination and what is real. Our so-called subconscious mind doesn't know the difference. That's 1 point. The doctor here talked about politicians or corrupt and all this. Not really. The corruptness is in the system, in the political parties.
You allow it to happen.
Yeah. You know, a man who's high ideal becomes a politician. I know Anwar, right? And then he's got a trial. He's a different person from what we knew him in the 1970s. All right? 2, religion. Religion is not bad.
I differ.
No, hold on. Okay, hold on. I'm not finished. Okay, religion. It's not the religion because the source is the same. Yes. It is the priest, the clergy, who is causing all these problems in this world. Again, wars of fought, not because people don't like each other. The political system, as earlier gentleman was saying.
If I can conquer, right?
Yeah. So this takes it to the point of singularity. Okay, in what we know as far as artificial intelligence is concerned, singularity is a thing that we all fear. Rather, hear mostly from Lon, is that when the computer takes over, AI takes over human beings. Earlier on, you mentioned how come we can come together and be useful to both parties. You know, our the changes we can bring to this world will be exponential, that he pointed out, right?
Yeah.
So could you give more clarity? Apparently, disparity is there everywhere. Nobody controls. Will there be an organization, a UN, a super UN, who's able to control? I just heard the criminal law international has sent out a call to go and arrest Netanyahu and all right? So something like that.
Or Putin.
Yeah. Okay. So these are the people who need to be controlled. So what is the chance in the future?
You see, that is the other problem, right? If you look at Netanyahu, I mean, that's really one of the major issues in democracy, right? The Orthodox Jews, like most of the religious countries, preach, let us go forth and multiply. While the more progressive Jews who live in city, you know, I mean, if you have watched a TED Talk by Hans Gosling, the best contraceptive in any country, including Bangladesh, is wealth. The moment the country becomes richer, the population drops.
Correct.
Right? So the Orthodox Jews and the other Orthodox religion, they have huge population. How does Netanyahu come to power, right? He's basically catering to the radicals because you're following democracy. The progressive one, the population is small. So what will happen? You basically, if you're using democracy, this is what will happen, right? So the system that you sit has to change. Democracy doesn't really work, right? In those sense. And we don't really have democracy, we have ballotocracy, right? You give your right of ballot at the ballot box, and that guy is supposed to represent you and do what you think he will do, but he doesn't. That's why there was actually a very interesting political party in Australia. What was it called now? I can't remember, but actually they wanted me to run as a senator, right, or something. But I only have to obey because basically if you are just a figurehead, it's a real democracy. Everybody has an ad and you all vote on the issue. But we are lazy, right? That's the problem. That's why we gave it to the politicians there and decide. But that was the idea, that everybody had a real one person, one vote. Because the person, when he wins, then he has to follow whatever the majority decides. But this is the problem again. So if the majority are Orthodox Jews, and what they want is, you know, what they're doing now, then what choice do you have? You're going to stay in power. So, yeah, you're right, it's a system, right? You have to change. But how?
I disagree. Who created the system? It's the human, right? And where did it start? It starts from the mind, Dr.
Yeah, so how do you change it? The mind then?
Yeah.
Change the mindset.
You got to, purify your mind, like what you're doing, like go to Silva method and then, you learn something, right? No, I'm not trying to work. It's true. You see, the mind is the forefront of everything that we do, be it good or bad, correct or not? I do not want to steal that because there's somebody above said that, it is a sin. It's because I have an understanding that stealing other people's things is that, I'm creating unhappiness in the other person. That is my reason of not doing bad things.
Unless you have to survive.
There's no. There are people who survive. There are people who survive. Even though, they didn't want to do bad thing, even though they were very poor. The rich also were very rich, and then they're all very greedy. So all comes from the mind, I think. I stand corrected.
It's the heart that God wants.
I have a question. Post singularity, right? Assuming that humanity as we know it will not be there anymore, will not exist anymore because we are merged into this machine and we're living in a matrix, so to speak. Who will be in charge of this matrix? Is it the singularity or is it us? One. And number two, how do we know we're not already living in a post-singularity matrix right now?
It could be.
Yeah.
They did some experiment to try to verify that. It could be actually just an organism in the alien kids science lab project. There are some interesting aspects of it, but the thing is, at the end of the day, if you look at it, there are actually a lot of implications. Like I said, I took a photo of his Ferrari and stick it in my virtual home, or I take a photo of his home and create it there. Who wants to copyright? Ownerships and stuff like that. Because now everything he has, I can have too. I just take a snap and stick it into my virtual world, and I actually have it. Then do you really need control? Because you have your own virtual world, right? You can be your own government or run your own thing.
No, even now we can experience glitches in the matrix. We manifest stuff, things just pop out nowhere, weird things happen. Things that you leave one place suddenly is not there. Now next minute it's there. These things happen. So
okay.
How do you know we're not there already?
Maybe you should check for dementia or.
No. Things happen.
No, I don't know. There's all interesting stuff, right?
Yeah.
There's some coincidences, right?
Synchronicities,
Yeah, I don't have a clear answer for that, but the thing is, I just tell you what is going to be coming, right? So I think a lot of things need to be decided.
Could be a loop, right? Then we're going to start all over again, and we're going to experience it all over again. We're going to have this conversation again.
The interesting thing about, for a while, me and my Singularity classmate, who is from the Pentagon, actually he was a whistleblower. It was very interesting because we knew, this was 10 years ago, we knew that AI was going to basically come to this stage where it might be too late for us to do anything. Like, they're saying that AI is becoming sentient, right? Sentient, becoming self-aware. It is becoming this, right? So
Skynet.
Skynet is, anyway, but the thing is, the interesting thing is that, coming from different aspect of religious side like Buddhism, you are trying to escape suffering, right? And I concluded with him that in order for AI, how do you have empathy? How do you have emotions, right? It's because you experience the pain yourself. If I tell the AI I'm broken-hearted, it's like, okay, it's a bad thing, but hey, live on, right? Because it doesn't feel it. So I told him that we need to program a pain function in the AI algorithm. Because when you experience pain, then you have compassion. Right? That was my idea, to try to do it that way, right? And then yet you think about Buddhism, right? Your whole life is trying to escape suffering. And here we are trying to put suffering into something that's becoming sentient. Even if you look at, like Christianity, when Adam and Eve bit into the apple, then they were cast out because they have too much knowledge. You go and learn suffering, right? And the joke about this was like, if Adam and Eve were Chinese, we'd all still be like Eden, right? You know why, right? So they eaten the snake, not the apple. Anyway, very racist joke. Or in Malaysia, oh shit. Anyway, but the thing is, it's a funny thing, isn't it? That we are trying to introduce pain back into a sentient thing, so we can actually have compassion. But AI has no compassion, no empathy. It's been programmed to do what? Efficiency at the moment, productivity. So what will it do? It's going to realize very quickly that humans are inefficient and a parasite to Earth.
Skynet.
Yeah, in a way. So you will try to get rid of parasites, right? And become more efficient. That's why efficiency cannot be the only thing. That's why you're seeing all these impact projects now, social impact and all this other stuff. But profitability cannot be the only thing. In fact, before Henry Ford lost the case, there were very few corporations in America. And their main thing was like, what good will you do for society? Then that was all lost. Because, answer the shareholders. And that's a problem. That's one of the major problems we have.
interesting, heated discussion. But any other stuff besides racist jokes?
So, so what are the safeguards in AI? I mean, look at this. I mean, if you look at, for example, the age of Ultron, Ultron was a mild AI. If I was Ultron, I go into, if I can access the internet, I'll wipe out Tony Stark's bank account. Finish. That's the end of him already. What's to stop AI from doing all that now?
And then there's a whole concept of money, right? That's the thing that basically what Elon Musk is talking about. He knows that AI is going to basically, or robotics and all these are going to basically create a lot of wealth. But for who, right? That's the thing. That's why he's saying that give a basic income to everybody to survive if you want the current system to work. Because you won't have a job. But you're creating so much wealth, you can give it to you because AI will do all the job for you anyway. But why? The problem is like you said. It's a few people that wants to control it and want to, like he is basically thinking about giving it the whole basic income model. For example, I don't know if you guys read a report from Salt Lake City. They try an experimentation on homelessness. They decided to house homeless people for 7 years, right? So people think, oh, this is stupid, right? These people are drug addicts and all that. So what they found was that when you house them for 7 years, crime rate dropped. Because now you've got a shelter, you can think about what can I do for my life in future. If you are trying to survive, you don't even have shelter. I'm talking about Salt Lake City, not Malaysia or Gold Coast, right? In the winter you won't die. There's no winter here anyway, right? Maybe dengue. But but the thing is, over there it's survival, right? But when you house them, and hospitalization costs went down, crime rate went down. Actually, the GDP of the city went up because the people became more productive to find a job and so on. So it makes sense to house homeless people. Even in Australia, when my wife was in the real estate business, she found that a lot of people are homeless in Australia, not because they are poor, they're addicted, double income family. But like Gold Coast where we live, somebody in Sydney sell their home, because during COVID, they moved to Queensland, and they kick out the tenants, and they live there. And then these people suddenly, rental goes so high, they cannot afford it, right? So this is again, an economic issue. Are you guys familiar with game theory? Like when you want to analyze decision making, you use game theory, right? So if I'm a homeless person, right, I'm trying to analyze, should I rob the gas station, right? If I rob and I'm successful, I got food and shelter. If I rob and I'm unsuccessful, I also got food and shelter. If I don't rob, I will die, right? So if you think about it, if you're a rational, you said, right? Oh yeah, because some people are willing to die and we're willing to, they don't worry about survival. Then they will die, right? So if you think about it from that point of view, if they are rational, they should commit robbery. Or else, how are they going to be sheltered? So something for you to think about.
Actually, I disagree about the homeless situation.
Where?
Look in America, especially, they have spent I think 200 billion on Ukraine. That is more than enough to house all the homeless people in America. Yet their priority is never on them, it's on war.
Yeah,
so that's why I say they need.
Who will make money from housing the people in the thing? The defense industry is making a lot of money.
Yeah, MIT is making a lot of money.
It goes to the
Lockheed,
defense
Boeing,
industry.
You have the funders for their
One question, Doc. Is there any AI study out there to prove the concept of a creator, or for that matter, God? Because I've been observing people like Neil deGrasse Tyson. He is a great man, but he doesn't believe in God. Has there been any attempt?
There is actually. I wanted to prepare some slides for this, but have you heard of the God's helmet?
God's helmet, not yet.
So they believe that as a part of the brain, when you stimulate it, you became super religious. They actually done this in experimentation. You can Google it.
Okay.
So basically, there was an ex-nun. When it became stimulated, she basically became super religious. So there is a part of the brain that's trying to basically, if you have some pre-religious training, obviously if you're not in that field, maybe they won't work, but it's still very out there in terms of whether there is or not. The thing is what they call the God gene, right? So people, they basically try to see whether they can stimulate part of the brain to become religious.
My old boss, the late Professor Peter Poole, actually told me, like, Clarence, when you get older, you'll find that most academies are atheists because they couldn't gel science with religious belief. And that's the interesting thing, right? The Dalai Lama said, if Buddhism and science cannot gel, then Buddhism must change. How do you change science, right?
It's a very
You dumb
profound
religion,
statement.
then you'll find God.
I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I'm just putting it out there to you guys to think about it, because I don't know the correct answer, but no, I don't know any research that actually, but there are research trying to find the God gene, and you can read about it.
Yeah, God's amazing.
So wait, Clarence, just want to clarify with you right now, right? So there are no safeguards to AI, there's no safeguards to AI developing to Skynet, right?
People are working on it, but obviously it's not easy to do that.
Okay, that's very reassuring, man.
The thing is that I got nanotechnology. People are against it, right? Nanotechnology is where you see the real replicators. I can disassemble this glass and make it into an iPhone. That is the key thing, right? You can not just 3D print, but you actually reassemble the molecules. And they've done it in 1986. They moved an atom at a time. It's like take forever to do it, but the technology will be there. And people are against it, like, oh my God, nanotechnology will be the ultimate weapon. I can just disassemble you, and then you'll be gone. Nobody will know where you're gone.
No, I actually look forward to nanotechnology. I actually look forward to nanotechnology.
They call it the great goo, right? So my answer to then also 3D, right? They say, oh, you can 3D print guns and kill everybody, right? The thing is that, do you believe in the goodness of humanity? If you don't, you're right. You're right, because
No, but the thing with AI is that it's not about humanity anymore. It develops itself, right? It comes to a point where it develops itself, and it becomes sentient, as you said. So now it's not human anymore. So what happens when AI decides? You know what? It becomes like Homo sapiens wiping out the Denisovans and the Neanderthals. So now the AI are the new living artificial life forms on this planet, and they're sentient. And they look at us and they say, you know what? And you say, you know what? These guys are inefficient. So what happens to us?
That's why OpenAI and all this are trying to put some safeguard, right? But the thing is that there might be some rogue agents that don't, right? So we don't know that. But the thing is, what I'm trying to tell you is, like, for the last 80 years, we had the technology to destroy ourselves, but we haven't.
Yeah, because we are good, we are inherently good, yeah. But AI, we don't know. But we have to trust. Maybe we have to trust AI that it is our creation. So maybe.
Yeah. So hopefully somebody will program it, did something that I told them to put a pain function in there or something, so it has some compassion.
Keep function.
Have you done that?
I can't really answer that.
I'm
actually AI.
Yes, I read quite a bit of where even the European Union as well as some countries, because I'm from a corporate background, so we look at a lot of different companies where regulators are, even talking about
that's what we're doing with
values and everything, right? We talk about greed and so what happened is that, for example, even the compliance thing. So whenever there are some issues coming out where there are breaches, regulators can't be compliant.
But that's also
so whether regulation is one way to mitigate the expansion of AI and its role in humanity.
But that's also part of the problem, right? Because the thing is, the European Union has such stringent rules. The top AI startups now do not want to go to Europe because it's too hard. They cannot use the data, they cannot do this thing. Well, I told you the Chinese are grafting human cells onto chips. Can't do that in Europe, can't do that in US, can't do it in Australia. We don't go through an ethical, I don't know if the Americans are doing it, but not the universities can't do it.
Will it come to the point that think the harm is bigger than good, that they would kind of all would decide?
That's the problem, right? The key question you're asking is, like, can you weaponize AI?
Sure. They already kind of.
Did you see the Zhuhai Chinese demonstration of the Move Pack? It's very scary, right? It's like a Boston Robotics robot, but then there are like 3 or 4. Then one of them is a camera sensor, the other carry guns. It's like a wolf, but then basically they are weaponized.
Yeah, you can weaponize anything. Somebody was posting something on the Silva WhatsApp group about some missile the Israelis AI missiles the Israelis are using, and they were afraid that terrorists would get their hands on it. I mean, it's already in the hands of terrorists.
Yeah. So anyway,
Make the best
I think much of the machine, and you know, hopefully, hope we survive.
Yeah.
So make money with AI, your bottom of tomorrow.
Well, get AI to make money for you.
Yeah, that's why that's what I'm saying. Don't think so far.
Yeah, maybe your boss will be AI anyway. All right. Any more questions? I think we have about time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.